Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, and today I'm like to take a look at this guy right here, Neuroshima Convoy. I picked this up for free at BGG Con. They were giving these suckers out for free. It is a reprint, putting the game Convoy into the Neuroshima universe by Portal Games. This is designed by Ignacy Trzewiczek. So again, we have some highfalutin names attached to this game. It's a two-player card game where one player takes on the role of the Moloch invading robots, and they have a convoy that's headed towards New York with the sole purpose of destroying New York. And the outpost player are those human resistance soldiers, fighters, who are trying to stop that convoy from reaching its destination and achieving its goal. And so it's a two-player back-and-forth game where you're fighting over districts of different cities and fighting in them and just trying to have the most power in each of those battles. Let me show you how it works. To go over the anatomy of a card, you will have a pictorial representation of the unit, the name of the unit, how many copies of this card are in your deck, the strength of the unit, and how it is activated. The arrow means down here, and it actually says it, when enters the city. So when this unit enters a city, either by being placed in the city from a person's hand or being moved into a city, that effect will take place. In this case, it says kill a chosen soldier. Down here in the bottom is the kind of unit that it is. That denotes that it is a robot. There are also cards in the Moloch deck that have a puzzle piece as an icon. That means it is a module, and it does not take up one of these spaces of battle stations that the Moloch has at its disposal. It is actually attached to a robot, and only one module can be attached to any one robot. Sometimes most of the time it will give a plus strength to the robot that it is attached to, but sometimes there is also an activation. Now, the Outpost deck is is pretty much the same, except there are a little bit of a difference here. You will have, first of all, what are called soldier icons, and it will also tell you how the card is activated. Some cards are activated by discarding a card from your hand. Others are activated when the person enters the city. Others are activated when the outpost wins a battle. Again, the anatomy of the card is the same, a pictorial representation, the name of the card, how many copies of that card are in the deck, and then the strength of that card and the special ability that happens and when it happens. They also have immediate effects, immediate cards in the Outpost deck, but there are also cards that are buildings. And for example, here is an electromagnetic field. It has a 0 strength, it is a building, but it still takes up one of the battle station spots that the outpost has. Then it also provides a skill, and it tells you how that skill is activated. This one is a permanent skill, it's always activated. It does not have to activate as soon as you play it down. You choose when it is activated, but from that point on, it is always activated. The whole point of the game is if you're the Moloch player, is to destroy New York City. To have cards left in New York after the final battle. If you accomplish that, you win the game. For the Outpost, your goal is to stop the Moloch convoy, and that happens if at the end of the final battle in New York, Moloch has no cards in his deck and no cards in New York. Each round is broken up into 6 different phases. The first phase is the draw cards phase, where each player will literally just simply draw 2 cards. So for the first battle, each player will go into that battle with 6 cards at his disposal. The second phase is the Moloch actions phase, which is where the Moloch player will be able to take their cards and do any and all of the following 3 actions in any order and with as much frequency as he would like. He can occupy a battle station, which is basically taking a card from his hand and placing it into a city, the active city, or a future city if he would like, to occupy one of the battle station slots in that city. He can also use a card's special skill. But then you can also play an instant card, those cards that have the little exclamation point in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so for the beginning turn, the Hornet is going to be placed here in a future city because this is the active city right now. So we're going to place the Hornet in a future city. Whenever a robot or a soldier is placed in a future city that is undefended by the opponent, you get to put a +1 strength marker on that. Then I'm going to use his special ability. The Hornet, once per turn, you can move the Hornet to an adjacent city. So we'll do that and then move the Hornet over to Ziggy 1. We will also put a Brute into Ziggy 1. Ziggy 1, when he enters the city, place a shield token on a chosen robot. So we'll go ahead and put it on the actual Hornet. And after placing the Brute there and putting that shield token on there, I think I'm going to go ahead and pass. With the hand that I received, I'm going to go ahead and play a Trooper here. Again, no defenses here, so he gets a +1 added to him, being in an undefended future city. We'll play Lieutenant Callahan as well. And since there are still no cards here, he also gets a +1. So now a battle happens here in Ziggy 1. The the Moloch player definitely wins because there's no player, there are no cards here. So the battle happens here, which destroys this. And the winning effect is that the next district is also destroyed. So that means that the target would move to the Iron Gate. These would be removed, and this is turned over. When a city is completely destroyed, the Moloch player has the ability to convoy his troops, which means that he picks one of these robots and moves them to the adjacent active city. The Brute would stay here, but he could be moved out at a later time as normal. Now, one phase that we didn't go over because they didn't need to was the modules activation phase, where the Moloch player would be able to play modules and buff up their robots after the outpost player had finished. He didn't need to because there were no cards over here, so we skipped that phase and went straight to the end of battle results. Each player draws 2 cards and adds them to their hand, and the Moloch player takes his actions first. Now on the Moloch player's turn, we're going to go ahead and play a Stormtrooper down. This has a strength of 3. The special activation here says in case of a tie, you win the battle. So normally in the case of a tie, neither of these effects would trigger, but this district would be destroyed and you'd move on to the next one. Then we're also going to play a pushback. Pushback says that we move a chosen soldier to an adjacent city. So we're going to take this Lieutenant Callahan here and move him back that way. Now, you can move backwards or forwards, doesn't matter, but you can never move off the board. Okay? So this is the furthest he would be able to move. If he is moved again, he would only be able to move this way. Place a gauze cannon here, and since there is no opponent, he gets that +1 marker. And we're going to go ahead and pass. On the outpost player's turn, we're going to place Nestugov in a future city that is undefended. And we'll be able to place him there. Going to move him once and then move him again. We'll move Lieutenant Callahan also over to that one as well. Now, in the module's activation phase, we're going to go ahead and play an Annihilation module on this Stormtrooper, and all it does is adds 2 to the Stormtrooper's ability. Let's see, we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but he adds 1 to each other person, each soldier, so that would be 8, 9, 10. So the outpost player wins the game, wins this battle. We move that there. That gets placed. Then this means that 2 cards are drawn. The outpost player looks at them and then discards the one that he would want discarded, which we're going to discard that bad boy. And then the hunter would be shuffled back into the deck. And now, Moloch player draws 2 new cards. Outpost player draws 2 new cards. And we continue the round. And this is how the game would continue until, at the end of the game, we've gone all the way through to the last battle in New York. And at the end of that battle in New York, if the Moloch player has just 1 card left here, after the end of that last battle, the Moloch player wins. If, at the end of the last battle, there are no Moloch cards left in the draw pile, and there are no Moloch cards left in New York, the outpost player wins. And that's Neuroshima Convoy. It's a neat little 2-player game. At first, I was having a little bit of difficulty with the rule book. Just some minor little details that I was missing that made the game a little bit difficult to understand. But that's probably maybe just me. After I watched a couple videos about the game and watched a few people play through it, I understand very clearly what the rule book was trying to tell me. I just had some difficulty at the very front end trying to understand how the game is actually played through. The goal of the game, you know, how to win, that was very clear. What each of the different cards do in several different situations, that was all clearly spelled out and easy. It's just the actual gameplay, the chugging along of the game, what we do and when does this happen and when does that happen. That was a little bit difficult for me on the front end. It's a very simple 2-player game that has a little bit of meat to it. Because while you want to play those heavier, high-powered cards at the very beginning, maybe you want to hold back a little bit and wait until later on down the line where it might have a little bit more of an impact. Sure, it'll clinch the battle for you right now, but maybe clinching that battle later on is more important. So there's those kinds of thought decisions that will occur throughout the course of the game. The take that element is there, but it's not so strong to where I'm just like, it's just another take that game. No, it's not. It actually does have a lot of interesting mechanics. I like the artwork in the game. It's very thematic. I've always been a fan of the Neuroshima Hex universe, that futuristic, post-apocalyptic world, kind of like a Terminator kind of world where the robots are the bad guys and the human fighters are the good guys, that type of thing. So I think somebody who has played the game before usually will win, but not always, because it does have a luck of the draw mechanic. You might not get that card that you're needing at the time that you're needing it. So there is that, but I think more often than not, experience will win the day over just some random luck draw. So there is that to it. I enjoy card games that are like that, where there is that random luck factor that's there, but that's usually not the determining factor of winning the game or not. It can happen, but I think it's probably evenly balanced that way. My wife did enjoy the game as well, so she was able to wrap her head around it. So that has, a little bit of credence to it. So this is one of the 2-player games that I think will stay in my collection because of its eccentricity. It has a cool theme on it. And then it plays really simple, something that my wife and I can break out, or one of my sons and I can break out and have fun with really simply, really easily. So that is 1.5 thumbs up. We'll give it around 7. How's that? A 7 out of 10. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.